to recognize National Crime Victim Rights Week. I'm very honored to be part of this and to be speaking to you today in regard to this. Each year, the nation sets aside 1 week to honor survivors and advocate for them. It's also an opportunity to educate individuals and the community about victim rights, the services available to them, and agencies that provide these services. This year's theme for National Crime Victims' Rights Week is how would you help? Options, services, and hope for crime survivors. It challenges all of us in our community to be prepared to help victims of crime by learning about the resources here in Berks County. Are you prepared if someone confides in you about a victimization? Are you familiar with the services available in your community? By learning more, we are able to support options for life-saving services and, most importantly, hope. Crime can touch the life of anyone, regardless of age, race, gender, religion, or economic status. Each year, millions of Americans are victims of crime. In 2022 alone, there were 6.6 million violent victimizations against people over the age of 12 and 13.4 million property crimes. Many people are unaware of the wide range of services and assistance that is available to them. With me today are some of those agencies. Two of those agencies are run by my office: the Children's Alliance Center for Berks County and Victim Witness Assistance Unit. The Children's Alliance Center is more popularly known as the CAC. The other agencies here today are Safe Berks and the Reading Police Department. I'm proud to say that we have made great strides in Berks County through building solid partnerships with each of these agencies. My victim service staff participates in various coalitions and committees to network about available resources. Some of these include Human Trafficking, Elder Abuse Task Force, Berks Coalition to End Homelessness, STOP Team, and various child abuse committees. One example, which just took place this weekend, really is a great example of the great collaboration that we have here in Berks County. We had a very serious incident this weekend, and my prosecutor worked with law enforcement officers and task force members to identify and arrest a potential trafficker in a labor servitude trafficking case. They immediately brought in my victim service staff, who assisted with meeting the basic needs of the victims: housing and other things. They in turn collaborated with other social service agencies to find appropriate housing and other resources. This could not have been accomplished by one agency acting alone. Many agencies came together. We were able to house the victims, and hopefully this will lead to taking care of them and also to a successful prosecution. All of us here have our own purpose. We need law enforcement to investigate crimes, attorneys to prosecute crimes, and victim services to provide necessary resources. However, the main focus for all of us is meeting the needs of the victims. Collaboration is a key part in victims' rights and services. If a victim doesn't feel respected, believed, or supported, they are less likely to cooperate in the criminal justice system. In addition to all of us here, we need the public's help. Many victims suffer in silence and never report their victimization. We urge you to listen to the victims and allow them to share their story. We need the Berks County community to learn about the important resources available to crime victims so they can help guide crime victims to where they need to go for help. We stand here as a united front to show that no one can do this alone. I am very proud to be part of this group. It is my honor to introduce Kathy Buckley. Ms. Buckley is the Director of the Office of Victim Services for the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As District Attorney Adams said, my name is Kathy Buckley, and I'm the Director of the Office of Victim Services at the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, but we'll go with PCCD at this point because it's a little bit shorter. I want to thank all of you for joining us today to highlight the collaborative work of the victims of, for the victims of crime happening here in Berks County. Special thanks to District Attorney Adams for hosting us and his staff, as well as thanks to Senator Schwank for her ongoing support for victims and also being present with us here today. So as you listen in, I want you to remember that anyone can be impacted by crime. Crimes from gun violence to domestic violence to sexual assault to child abuse are far too prevalent in the world we live in today. And today we're here to remind the citizens of Berks County and all across Pennsylvania that there are programs and advocates who are ready and willing to have your back. As we gather to commemorate National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we are reminded of the theme that District Attorney Adams had mentioned: options, services, and hope for crime victims. It's a call to action and a reminder that our role extends beyond sympathy to tangible support and empowerment. And central to PCCD's mission is facilitating the delivery of services to victims of crime. We acknowledge the diverse needs of crime survivors. Each individual's journey is unique, and therefore our response needs to be just as diverse. We must expand options, offering a range of services tailored to meet survivors where they are in their recovery process. And at PCCD, we achieve this by providing funding to victim service programs across Pennsylvania. And those programs, as we have already mentioned, are Safe Berks here in Berks County, along with the Children's Alliance Center and the Victim Witness in the District Attorney's Office, which you'll hear from here shortly. Additionally, PCCD administers the Victims Compensation Assistance Program, or better known as VCAP, because we all use acronyms for everything. VCAP is a financial lifeline for those impacted by violence and crime. This program provides financial assistance for expenses such as medical bills, counseling, funeral expenses, and a host of other things. Over the past 5 years, PCCD has paid more than 76,000 compensation claims, totaling over $65 million in expenses for victims of crime. Our role in allocating and managing the funding, including VCAP, underscores our commitment to empowering and advocating for crime survivors. We must amplify awareness and accessibility to existing services, ensuring that survivors have access to the supports they need to rebuild their lives with dignity and hope. In line with this commitment, Governor Shapiro's proposed state budget includes $5 million to the Crime Victims Compensation Fund. This is important. This unprecedented funding proposal will set Pennsylvania's Victims Compensation Assistance Program on a more stable course, ensuring that crime victims continue to receive the support they need and deserve. And I want to acknowledge the work of the Reading Police Department in assisting VCAP. They provide police reports to us, which are needed to process compensation claims in less than 19 days, putting the focus on crime victims and survivors and ensuring they receive the financial support that they need. I stand here today with our Berks County partners, working together to ensure that crime victims are informed of their rights and resources available. Whether it's counseling, legal advocacy, safe housing, or financial assistance, we are dedicated to supporting survivors. Together we can create a future where every survivor has the options, the services, and hope they deserve. It is now my pleasure to introduce Louis Serrano. Louis's life was profoundly impacted by domestic violence, which resulted in the loss of his mother. I want to thank Louis for his courage to come here today to tell his story. I'll turn it over to him now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Louis Serrano, as she mentioned. I'm the son of Maria Serrano, who was murdered back in 2009 here in Berks County. Let me give you a little brief timeline of what happened to my mom and her horrific tragedy. June 25th, 2009, she was lit on fire and rushed to Lehigh Valley Hospital, where that's the closest burn unit here from Berks County. She was burned over 60% of her body. 45 days later, on August 8, 2009, my mom passed away due to ARDS, which stands for Acute Respiratory Distress Syndrome. She had difficulty breathing and her lungs got rock hard, and that's how she passed away. 4 years later, the trial began here at the courthouse, September of 2013, which her trial lasted a total of 9 days. And during that time, in September of 2013, is when I had the honor and pleasure of meeting these wonderful people here at Berks County in the Victim Witness Department. Miss Ruthie, who's here today with us, she was the real MVP for those 9 days. She greeted us every morning and afternoon with a smile, a hug, kind words to me and my entire family. That whole 9 days. When I talk about her and this whole group of people, I tend to get emotional. But my heart fills up with joy because they are so caring. It's just too often that we underestimate the power of a hug, a smile, kind words, a listening ear, and smallest acts of kindness that these people brought to me and my family during that time. Sorry. So I typed up a little letter to convey my admiration and respect for all those individuals that are working for the Victim Witness Department. I'm writing this letter to express my sincere appreciation for your hard work and dedication to the families that experience and cope with countless amounts of tragedies that happen in their life. Your contributions have been invaluable to those in my family. I am tremendously grateful and forever indebted to you all for the wonderful acts of kindness you did for my family back in September of 2013. I specifically want to recognize your outstanding leadership and attention to detail when it was time to deal with my family and I. Your kindness was super instrumental and exceeded all expectations. Your selflessness and compassion will never go unnoticed, ever, Ms. Ruthie, ever. And I want to publicly announce your hard work and dedication to the families who are suffering from tragedies like mine. I encourage you guys to keep up the excellent work because God knows we needed it for the trial. Like I said, that lasted 9 days, almost 10 years ago. Once again, thank you for all that you do. You are a valued member of this society, and my family and I appreciate you tremendously. Love always, Louis. So at this time, I would like to pass the mic over to Chief Vasquez. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Well, we had another engagement. Louis was in that engagement about a month ago. And at that time, I gave my condolences, but I want to give my condolences. I just have a brief statement. The Reading Police Department stands with all victims of crime, no matter the circumstances. Victims of crime, like Louis Serrano and his family, will always have our 100% support and will be treated with dignity and respect at all times. We'll continue to ensure they receive the best services we can provide and assist with services like the Victims Compensation Assistance Program made possible by PCCD for short. Thus far, in 2023, we had about 53 cases that we helped in. So that's great. We'll continue collaborating with all the agencies like Safe Berks and PCCD that work very hard every day to help victims of crime and violence get back on their feet and into a safe environment again. I recently did a tour at Safe Berks and it was fantastic. They truly do God's work there, for sure. I want to thank all the agencies here, DA, represented here today, for all you do for the victims of crime within the city. So thank you again, and I'll introduce Beth Kerrigan, who is the CEO of Safe Berks.
Thank you, Chief Vasquez. I'm Beth Kerrigan. I am the CEO of Safe Berks. Safe Berks is the dual domestic violence and sexual assault service center here in Berks County. With the support of several different funders such as PCCD, the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the Pennsylvania Coalition to Advance Respect, and United Way, we're able to provide 24-hour crisis services to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. The services include, but are not limited to, a 24-hour hotline and text line, safety planning, crisis counseling, emergency shelter, medical and legal accompaniment, counseling, assistance with filing protection orders, legal representation at final protection orders, advocacy, and support groups. One of the grants we received from PCCD directly supports Berks County's multidisciplinary approach to providing domestic and sexual violence victims and survivors with a coordinated, supportive, and cohesive team response to minimize re-traumatization during the investigation and prosecution process pertinent to holding offenders accountable. Our partnerships with the District Attorney's Office, Reading Police Department, and the Children's Alliance Center are invaluable to victims and survivors, their families, and their loved ones. We at Safe Berks are proud to work with these partners to support our community's victims and survivors during and after a time when they are most vulnerable and afraid. Domestic and sexual violence does not impact a victim survivor alone, as we heard. It has a devastating impact on family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and our entire community. This makes it even more critical that systemic partners work together to provide an effective response and support those who are impacted by these crimes. I will now turn it over to Amy Sundstrom, Director of the Children's Alliance Center and Victim Witness Unit Supervisor.
Thank you, Beth. This is why we do this with Lewis and his family. Right there is a perfect example. It just, for as hard as this work is, it's just as rewarding to know that we can help them through this. So good afternoon again. I have the privilege of serving two roles in the District Attorney's Office, one as the Victim Witness Supervisor and the other as the Director of our Children's Alliance Center. Our Victim Witness Assistance Unit was established to assist victims, witnesses, and their immediate family throughout the criminal justice process. For many individuals, this is the first time that they're facing victimization and the aftermath of crime. Their world has been turned upside down. They're thrown into a system that's often difficult to navigate, and they're going through a range of emotions from anger, anxiety, and they're often just feeling overwhelmed. We can serve as the guide to help them through that process. Our mission is to serve as the advocate to ensure that their basic rights as a crime victim are being met and that they're treated with dignity and respect throughout the process. We allow them to choose their level of participation. Some choose for us to walk beside them for every step of the way. Others ask us to be their voice when they cannot speak. Our Victim Witness Unit is staffed by 6 extremely dedicated Victim Witness Coordinators, some of who are here today, who work tirelessly every day to provide support to victims of crime. I'm so proud to say that our office, 4 out of the 6 of them have been doing this work for over 20 years, each of them. So I think that says something about their passion. It's also evident by the feedback that we receive from families such as Lewis of how we've helped them through their journey. We provide a wide array of services to approximately 6,000 victims and witnesses each year. We work with victims when their offender is an adult, and it's any type of crime that we help the victims with. All of our services are free. Example of some of those services is court accompaniment and orientation, case information and notification, assistance completing the victim's compensation forms and financial assistance, victim impact statements. We can help with safety planning. We can give that information to be notified when an offender is released, and we can make referrals to community agencies. Our Children's Alliance Center, also known as the CAC, is based on a national model that focuses on providing a safe and child-friendly environment to victims of child sexual abuse, child physical abuse, children who are witnesses to violence, extreme neglect cases, and commercial sexual exploitation of children. The majority of the children that we see are between the ages of 3 and 17, and we serve approximately 350 children a year. Even though our staff consists of only 4 members at the Children's Alliance Center, we are part of this broader team. So the unique collaborative response of the CAC is led by this multidisciplinary team. We strive to provide those services in a culturally sensitive and trauma-informed way. We are able to bring together law enforcement, prosecutors, child protective services, victim advocates, medical and mental health professionals, all under one roof. So that way we're able to conduct a forensic interview. We're able to determine the most appropriate evidence-based intervention. We can assess the cases for prosecution, and we can make referrals to our community partners. Child abuse is multifaceted, so we know that there's no single agency that has all of those tools to be helping these families. It really takes a team, and that's what we're doing in Berks County. Research shows that child abuse and neglect can lead to long-term impacts on a child's health and well-being, both physically and emotionally. At the CAC, a child is able to tell their story to a trained interviewer who knows the right questions to ask in a way that's not going to re-traumatize them. Our goal is to reduce trauma, ensure that children are not victimized further by the systems that are set up to support them, and provide healing and justice to this most vulnerable population. I can't leave up this podium without introducing our most important staff members of the office. Sorry, victim witness. This is Cammie. She is our facility dog. She's been with us for a year. We were able to bring Cammie in due to the funding through PCCD. She brings a smile to the faces of the kiddos that we see and also to our staff. The services, honestly, that are provided by the Victim Witness Unit and the Children's Alliance Center in whole would not be possible without the funding through PCCD. So we truly appreciate Kathy for her leadership and her staff for their constant support. Each year, we recognize National Crime Victims Week by planning various events, but it's really difficult. Victimization is kind of this taboo topic that is really difficult to get the community engaged in, but we really need to talk about it. I challenge everyone to be willing to be uncomfortable. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Don't let these victims suffer in silence. I strongly encourage everyone in the community to do their part and learn more about the important services and resources that we can offer. Just imagine how much more comforting it would be to a victim if they knew immediately who they could turn to for help. You just really never know when the information you can provide can make a difference in someone's life. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. That concludes.